Oh yeah.
An
Oh,
interesting
dear.
one.
Is the camera duct taped to the wall?
Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
oh dear.
I
We got
didn't
an
notice
oh dear.
that. Okay.
I don't even know what to
It's
do
not
with
the
this.
first time I've seen this out in the wild. I've definitely.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of In the Trenches Roundtable. This is going to be an installation focused episode, and we're gonna have some fun with it today. We're gonna be talking about some camera installations, maybe roasting some of them. We'll see what happens. Got an awesome panel here, as usual. Got Gil, our installation director.
Hey everybody.
We've got Micah Shearer, our COO,
Hi.
and I've got Cal Brewer.
Hey y'all.
So we're going to look at 5 different camera installations this time, and we're just want you guys' reactions. What's good with about them, what's bad about them, and what's some things that could go wrong with them. So let's go ahead and take a look at installation number 1.
What am I looking at?
It is properly mounted.
Yeah, it's definitely
Give 'em
screwed
that.
into the wall there. And it might even be aimed at something too.
Are we
Yes,
trying to
this-
be nice?
Not for this one.
I
All
always
right.
start with the positive.
Oof. Okay. The positives. It is not going to fall off the wall.
No, looks good there.
Yep. It is screwed into the wall and it is definitely pointing at something.
I think the positives might end there.
Yeah.
You're probably right.
Now,
I'm gonna
where
go with
does the cable go? That's,
the first big negative I'm going to go with is that this cable is exposed. Probably should be in conduit somewhere, or somebody is just going to walk up and snip the line. Then you don't have a camera.
Yeah. There's also definitely not any weatherproofing on that connector. That is just completely exposed to the elements.
Yep.
right.
What happens if it is exposed like that? What are some of the consequences?
Pins will
Water
get
gets
rusted.
in there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Pins
corrosion.
will get rusted inside for sure.
In corrosion, that means my camera's not going to work anymore. Is that what happens?
I mean, pretty
Yeah,
much
yeah.
sooner or later.
I've seen some actually really corroded connections work. I don't know how or why, but most of the time they go intermittent and then gone.
Yeah.
Mm.
And if you got some water damage, then it's probably going to void your warranty too, and you're not going to be able to get a new camera.
Yep.
What about this? This is probably something you guys didn't think of. What about the electrical interference from the speaker right there?
Mm.
Probably going to get some interference from that and not get a very clear signal.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Good question. Yeah,
Possibility.
it could be connected to 120. Could be a 70-volt speaker.
You've also got the full weight of that cable like pulling on that connection, which is just not good for it long term.
Right.
There's no supports on that cable.
Yeah, and I'm not sure why they kind of wrapped it around the camera too. You see how they have the cable like wrapped around the camera and then coming out from underneath it?
Oh,
They
yeah.
didn't want it to dip down any farther.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And this is at a gas station out in the middle of nowhere, honestly. And the other picture here shows where it actually ends up leading, and it's only about a foot from the top of the door there. So it's very exposed. And I think when you talk about exposed cabling, can you guys tell me, like, obviously it seems like it's a security issue, right? What other things can potentially impact the exposed cable?
In sunlight, depending on where you're located and whether or not it's outdoor rated, when it's tucked under the eave, you've got a little bit of shade and a little bit of protection. When it's just out there and sort of full without any protection from those UV rays, you're going to degrade over time. I mean, it depends a little bit on location. If it's in Seattle versus Florida, you're going to get a different result.
I can tell you that's not UV rated cable. That's not.
Yeah, no, it is not.
Yeah. Also, if you got any kind of leaping ability and you're 6 foot something, you might be able to jump up there and just pull it down.
Pair of loppers.
You can definitely get to it. Yeah, you can definitely get to it pretty easy, right?
So we kind of get a good idea what's going on here. What's our letter grade for this? This is just like
F.
high school.
I mean, well, hold on here, because it is on the wall and it is functioning. So does that make it like a D minus?
Yes.
Do we know it's functioning?
Yeah, I guess we don't know.
I mean, without that weatherproofing, we really don't know. It's a D- closing in on an F
Yeah, I
eventually.
don't see any IR coming from the camera, so we don't know if it's on or not.
I'm trying to be generous. I know that we're
Okay.
going to get a lot of Fs. If we rate them all F.
Right,
It's
but
no
let's
fun.
grade on a curve then. I mean.
Okay, if it's graded
compared
on a
to the-
curve, then it's definitely a D, D minus.
Well, the other ones could be that bad where this is an A.
Well, okay, I'm not sure
dear.
about that, but
Oh dear.
D
all
minus.
right. D minus, D,
I thought you said B
minus.
minus for a minute. I was like, you and I got to talk about our
Delta
QA
minus.
standards.
and an F. All right. So that's camera number 1. Let's go ahead and take a look at camera number 2.
Okay.
All
We
right.
have a mounting box.
Is there a mounting box?
I know. Is it
I don't
just a
think so.
really
I think
thick
it's just
one?
a dome.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
It's hard to
This,
tell.
this one was also at a gas station, and thought it was interesting because I've had people install cameras sort of like this before, and I know what can happen with this one, but just curious if you guys thought of any other issues potentially with it. But what might be the main issue with the camera like this in that position?
Well,
I mean,
the
depends
exposed
on,
cabling.
yeah, I mean, the exposed cabling jumps out. There's also, is this angled in a way that's going to create more water intrusion in the dome
Yeah.
itself?
I was gonna let someone say water, because definitely, if it's not faced up against the wall with some silicone caulking or something, it definitely has water incursion possibilities for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely the first thing I thought of when I saw it. I was like, surprised that's not an aquarium at this point, but it was pretty far up, so maybe it already was. But
So
yeah,
we
so
rated A for aquarium.
yeah. Yeah, so anything else you guys think you want to add in about that, or do we think we're ready to grade this?
I mean, this is probably the same scenario like I talked to you guys about with that coax I ran into. They probably ran that non-UV rated cable across the rooftop a little bit. It's eventually gonna get exposed.
And we don't know. So the space like underneath the camera, does that jut out any at all? So like it kind of definitely like limits their view of looking down and seeing what they need to see.
Yeah.
It probably is aimed straight out. So they're missing a lot of the field
I
of view.
agree. Yeah, it looks like there's another level that comes out a little further, huh?
I think that is the case. It's harder to tell, but I think they're trying to push it down. But yeah, they probably are wasting some of that image just by that positioning for sure. So that's a great point. I didn't even fully consider. And I guess when we're talking about installing like a dome or a turret-based camera, what we're talking about there, the problem is the fact that it's not fully sealed with the back there. There's exposed parts on the top and bottom, and liquid can get in there, and eventually those seals deteriorate and let water into the actual dome. And the more you have it angled, the more likely that water just sort of naturally funnels into that. So I think that's the main issue with it, among a couple of other things. But you guys ready to rate this one?
I'm going with D again, like D minus again, because it's going to function for a little bit.
Yeah, I think we got to do a little bit better than the last one. This is just a little bit better, not much, but a little bit. So I think I'm going to go strong D on this one.
Strong D. Okay.
Strong D. I'm with it.
Can we edit that out?
I'm keeping that in.
I didn't even realize what I was saying.
Sorry, was not on purpose.
That's
Okay.
gonna be the intro.
Oh boy.
All right, I'm done. I'm apparently a teenager.
Next.
All right. So we're giving this a D, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Let's go ahead and move on to number 3.
Okay.
See what you did here.
Well, those eaves need to be scraped and repainted, but yeah, I mean, this looks good. We've got the, what do you call it? Flex.
Flex.
Yeah. Making the connection into a proper junction box to protect all the cable?
Yep. And the camera itself is actually anchored to the mount right there. So if the camera does fall, it's not going to fall and hit the ground. This little carabiner right here hooks to the mount, so you're safe there.
Mm.
Looks
That's
like
pretty
the
important
electric
with-
mounting box is closed tight, so no water's getting in there. You got your flex conduit running down the wall to that other camera in the background, so you're nice and sealed.
Good to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this seems to be a camera that might last quite a while in that building, unlike some of our previous two, maybe. How are we going to grade this one?
I give this one an A.
Yeah, A plus.
Yep, that's an A.
A plus. All right, that was an easy one. This one might be a little more tricky. Let's see. So this one is a dome camera that's mounted actually on the back of a sign. And they were having a particular issue with this camera. Do we know what that might be?
Yeah, it's gonna be the bounce back from the sign. Yeah, whenever that's something
One of 'em.
reflects and hits the back of that sign, you're gonna get that bounce back, that glare. And you're probably not gonna get a very clear view of the camera.
That was definitely part of it too. They had multiple issues, I guess, with this camera, but
Did they have some water intrusion issues as well?
so great. That's exactly where we're going with it. Not necessarily even intrusion at that point, but
Because
rain
it is a
was-
nice vertical, yeah.
Yeah, but the biggest problem with it was that rain was just kind of dripping down and it just sort of stuck there. You know, was kind of exposed there for it, and the way that the lens there is at the very bottom, you know, a lot of that just sort of was pooling there and just dripping very slowly down on it. So during rainy times, they were having issues with you know, the image being kind of distorted there as well. So
and that probably affected IR bounce back also if you've got droplets gathering on the or just hanging out on the dome. I mean, this is also why we often try and avoid domes where we can, because there's so many other possibilities of condensation and IR bounce back, and they get dirty, and then that makes the bounce back worse. I mean, sometimes you need them because, like, I believe this model has that IK10 vandalism resistance, like you can hit it with a bat and it's not going to break, which sometimes is what you need if a camera's low and within reach. But it does bring in all of these additional considerations and externalities.
Yeah, I will say this is you know, definitely gets points for creativity. I don't think I've ever seen too many cameras mounted on the back of signs like that. So A for creativity.
So I'm gonna change it up a little bit. We can grade this one for sure too, but what are some ways you might be able to fix that issue outside of maybe moving the camera, which may be an obvious thing, but because we did come up with a pretty creative solution for them on this one. Do you guys have any suggestions?
Could you just put like a little awning of some sort over it, like some sort of shield to deflect the rain?
Literally what we ended up doing, I think, with them, we ended up helping them figure out a thing to put on top of there that spooled the water down away from the camera's view, and it fixed some of the issues. You know, it still has the potential IR bounce back on that sign and stuff like that, but it definitely resolved a decent bit of their issues. It's definitely wasn't ideal, but you know, where they needed to place that camera, it ended up essentially solving the issue.
Right.
Did they have to fabricate that, or were they able to buy, like, is that something that's made?
I think they do make stuff like that. Maybe Gil, do you have you seen some stuff like that? I've seen like
for the old you know, old school box camera housings, yeah. But I've seen some domes where they have a cover going just over the dome bubble.
Yeah.
They have that, but I don't know if I've seen like an awning over the whole thing.
Yeah, the ones I've seen are like roundish. They're kind of like semicircles, and they sort of just extend. They're usually specific to the model because you don't know like the depth and everything like that. And this one, you know, does have a mounting box that looks like on it too.
Does that affect the field of view any?
Yeah,
depending on what it is.
Yeah, I think in this case they put it basically on top of the sign, and you know, I think they fabricated it to where they just sort of pushed it to the kind of to the left side of that camera. So it was a very unique situation where I think that was the only place they could put the camera, and they installed it, and then they kind of came for us for some help. So
Can we interrupt our regular plan and address Michael Bell's plea for us to go down to the Keys? Our tech support manager really wants us to start an installation branch in the Keys, so he's dropping us camera install examples down there.
That's awesome.
that one's actually not bad, I would say.
It's not terrible. You've got the
Well, it's
weatherproofing
Yeah.
and it's secured. Yeah. I mean, it's a
That bend
creative
that bend
solution.
radius is bad.
Yeah, it definitely is
The way
gonna,
that it's tying, that ties on it, that's bad.
Well, and
yeah,
they've
you need
also
a
like,
staple in there too,
they
you
needed
gotta
a mounting
staple.
box. They've sort of, do you see that big old gap
Yeah,
where the cable's going in underneath the camera? How would you have handled this?
Was interesting to deal with.
Well, if you had a mounting box, you could tuck that excess cable up inside it, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
you could do
And that might avoid that bend.
Plus, I mean, if you're just gonna, I mean, that is the cable running along the beam, right? Out toward the
Mhm.
yeah,
light.
and it's stapled all along that beam.
Stapled,
Is it
which
stapled?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Ugh.
What's
I
wrong with
actually
stapling?
watched a video from a company that shall not be named where they were actually advising people to staple their Cat5 cable to the
Oof.
2x4s, like a staple gun.
Immediately induces crosstalk and interference.
And you risk damaging, just physically damaging the cable too, I imagine.
Yeah, you can miss and mess up the jacket. Yeah.
Super
The
bad.
bend, don't sleep on bend radius. That's a
Mm,
thing. It really
Mm.
causes issues.
what is the maximum, 90 degrees?
No, I don't know the actual statistic of what the bend radius should be for that, but I know that
This one is bent too
It's
much.
not that.
not that. Right.
So can you give me like a nutshell on what bend radius is for somebody who doesn't know about it? They may be thinking.
I mean, basically, bend radius will bring the pairs in the cable together in a different form, and then that also induces what they call crosstalk, and can help with interference or hurt with interference. But I mean, that's the bottom line. Now, it can also affect, if you're going to tie it that tight, it can break the conductors inside the cable, and you don't even realize it. So I've seen that happen too.
So just to clarify, that's bend radius, not a radius camera with Ben's face on it, because that's what I thought.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, that
not
bend
sure that's going to
radius
sell,
is,
but we'll see.
Bend radius.
We'll save
Bend
that for the
radius
next
12.0.
video.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're saying that the tighter you have those cables in a bend like we see on this one, the more likely those pairs with the little cables within it are going to break, and then
Right.
cause disconnections and everything
Exactly.
like that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how would we rate this bonus one that we just got? This is an interesting one.
C minus.
that feels right to me.
Yeah, I'm good with that. C minus.
C minus. So that's pretty fair. Small improvements. Like you said, get a mounting box probably would. What would that turn into? A B or an A maybe?
I mean, it's
Mounting
more so the
box.
cable.
I mean, the stapling of the cable is hard to,
Got it.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's a lot
gotta
of
be-
work to fix.
I mean,
Yeah.
obviously they probably don't want to pay the conduit and flex it in. I get that. So, but there's better mounting apparatuses for attaching cable to wood than that. Well,
All right, let's get our final one here. This is
Oh yeah.
an
Oh,
interesting
dear.
one.
Is the camera duct taped to the
Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
oh dear.
I didn't
Oh
notice
dear.
that. Okay.
wall? I don't even know what to
It's
do
not
with
the
it.
first time I've seen this out in the wild. I've definitely seen this a bunch. I've seen
Oh my
cameras
goodness.
duct taped to beams in the
I don't
ceiling. I've seen them-
understand. I don't understand.
Yeah.
I quit. We're done.
Honestly, when somebody sent this picture, I assumed the camera was like above there, and we're just judging the duct tape. I didn't even notice it was a camera being duct taped to the
And
things there,
have they
Jesus.
also spray painted the camera?
No, it's,
Or
Covered in
that's
black
just, there's
duct
just a
tape.
lot of duct tape?
or is
Okay.
it duct? I mean, yeah, I guess it's duct tape. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Wow.
If you can't duck it,
Okay.
well, they probably should have used, let's start with the cable. They probably should have used some flex or some sort to get that cable over that awning and down to the camera mounting location. I understand why they mounted it on the edge right there so they could get the view underneath the awning. But yeah, definitely could have had something, you know.
But they probably could have gone through the soffit. I mean, that
Yeah,
looks like,
just mounted it right to the bottom side of that awning.
yeah.
Do you guys think of any reason why somebody would use duct tape in this situation?
They're out of screws.
Laziness?
The battery on the drill
Drill
died.
ran out of power.
The drill down,
Zombies?
It was in their junk drawer.
yeah. They just had way too much duct tape. They need to get rid of some.
Yeah.
I would go as far to say this is a DIY job, possibly.
I hope somebody didn't pay for this.
But you got to do what you got to do. You need a camera.
I'm not sure that camera is functioning though. I mean, maybe it is. You can't, they've used duct tape as the weatherproof connector, it looks like. So
It almost even looks like maybe, I wonder if the situation was that camera's mounting base broke or something like that. And they just were like, you know what?
got real creative.
Yeah, we're like, duct tape solves a lot of things. Maybe we'll be able to save this camera because it looks like it's like missing that.
Yeah,
look at, like,
it
that
doesn't
front
look like
part.
it has a base.
Yeah, and it's the stem there, and then it's like there's no base unless they just took it off, which could be another explanation.
It kind of gives them a little bit more of a field of view too, because if they would have had the base on there, they probably wouldn't have been able to move the camera as far to the right. So it kind of helps get you a little bit more.
I started to say maybe it's a decoy camera, but it almost feels like the way they've painted it, they're actually trying to hide it.
Now, dummy cameras need to look like actual professionally installed cameras. Or else they don't really work.
Well, I'm giving this one an F.
Yes. A strong F.
Yeah, is there below F? I'm going H.
It doesn't go below an F.
So we got an F.
E minus.
We got 3 Fs here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So we got an F. See me after class on this one, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even care if it's
Fly
functional.
yourself. Yeah. There's got to be some unique story behind this one. Unfortunately, we don't know it, but there's got to be some. I really want to know if that was just like, hey, we'll duct tape it for now and we'll come back.
How did you get a hold of this picture?
I don't even know. Somebody sent it to me and it was like, hey, up until 5 minutes ago, I thought that was just duct tape wires.
Yeah,
I didn't even realize that was the camera. So
when I first looked at it, I thought it was like a couple bats that were sitting in the corner there, just hanging out.
Chilling.
Like, what are those bats doing there?
that's probably what happened. There was bats up there and there's like, I can't use my drill. Just duct tape it and didn't disturb
The
the
bats
bats.
might have done the work the way it looks.
Yeah.
Oh,
Trained camera hanging bats.
That's it.
I mean,
We go there. Something.
Quick,
That was
somebody go pitch that to
extreme.
Matt.
about as extreme bad as you can get. Unfortunately, there's a lot of bad in between A and F that happens that we could probably help rectify.
Yeah. And also, to get in all seriousness, when you talk about issues like this and some of the other ones we looked at, you're not just talking about it's funny and it is somewhat funny to look at some of these and laugh at them, but the reality is a lot of these cameras are going to get broken very quickly, whether it's from exposure to light, sunlight, animals chewing up that cable and all that kind of
That's
stuff.
a real thing right there. That happens quite a bit.
And that's why we have guides on our website to install these cameras in a way that makes them an investment for you, that you don't have to continuously we're going to run a new cable and replace new cable, because that is a difficult job. And everyone attempts to do it, pat on the back, but don't use duct tape and make sure you weatherproof things as much as possible, because otherwise you're gonna you're gonna have your cameras damaged. A lot of that stuff's not under warranty, and it's gonna end up leading to security issues. And I think that's the main point we want to put out with this, is that as interesting as some of these are, definitely try not to replicate some of them.
Couldn't have said it better myself. You get an A.
Perfect.
Also code too. I mean, if your building's getting inspected, they're definitely going to fail electrical inspections with some of the way these cameras are mounted.
Yeah. I mean, if they use electrical tape, maybe.
Is that but I think we use duct tape.
Yeah, so I think we got a good idea what's good, what's bad with insulation. I want to thank our panel for being teachers today and giving some grades out and we get some A's, we get some D's, we get some F's. And I want to ask the audience, if you have camera installations that you might be proud of, or you might have ones that you saw at a gas station in the middle of nowhere that you're like, ugh, please send those in, take a picture, send them in, we'll rate them for you. And we'll do this again for sure. So thank you for watching, and we hope to see you on the next one.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.